Somebody asked me to get a better microphone. So we're just going to check where the volume is. We're going to raise the volume a little bit, see if that works. I'll try to, I could just put the thing in my ear and have it hanging down, but I don't think it would be necessarily any closer. So, Steve here, and just, what is it popular to say these days, transparency. We're going to be completely transparent about the criminal activities we're involved in. The world may appear to be a mess. It does to me sometimes. It just looks like such mess. And it makes me feel grateful to have guides on higher levels who can advise me in terms of what might be best for me. And I woke up from the dream world today. I've been working with the World Healing Field that I set up at the end of January of 2020 based on a request from my guides to have a field in place in which the disturbance of the world could be grounded. So they were telling me the world was going to get more disturbed, and it seemed disturbed enough to me, so I couldn't even imagine how it could get more disturbed, but it did. And so this morning, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea for you to attempt to go inside my mind and think what it's like to be me, because I'm doing well enough, but I don't need more people inside this mind. It's enough to just go, whoa, this is too much. And so if you have been feeling like this is too much, whatever this is, like it's all too much, then I'm going to talk a bit about, I was thinking about having Arlen, take me through a process of healing, which would help, anybody who watched it go through a process of healing. And I may do that later. But right now I just want to work with the energetics that I'm aware of and how I work with them. So I'm a, major player in the world transformation. I feel like a minor player. I feel like an inadequate player. I feel like David and Goliath. Like this thing's so big and I'm so small. And you may feel that way too, and if you do feel that way too, then we're together on that. And until this morning, I had a period of time where I felt like we were going to make it. And all we need to do is just keep doing the work. Just keep doing the work, keep doing the work. But today I felt overwhelmed by it. And so this isn't to gather, I don't want feelings of sympathy to come towards me. And, it is an internet. Sometimes there's 50 people that watch this video, at least a minute of it. When I start rambling, then they just disappear, but they're recorded as having at least turned it on. Apologize. Okay. think it's good to watch another person who sometimes is in the flow of things and sometimes is very centered, somewhat balanced, grounded, and puts himself out on, the internet as energy healer, spiritual teacher, consciousness aware person. Um, but that comes about through effort. I mean, my guide, Arlen, has suggested that I not struggle. Just let go of the struggle and let go of the suffering and just do the work. But in this process of awakening, where the energies are going up, and they're just going up steadily, and some people I know, people I have interaction with, they're the only people I actually feel like I actually do know, are the people I have interaction with, and they're working things well, but most of them are finding it a bit much. And this morning I just woke up feeling overwhelmed by the amount of fear, grief, and anger that are in the field. And I was saying, like, what can I do? I'm grounding as fast as I can. I'm doing breath work. I started doing yoga. Just started to work with my own capacities to handle this much energy. And so I was given some advice. Here was the advice I was given. I'm just passing it directly to you, so it's coming possibly from the higher realms or it's just coming from voices in my head. But here was the advice. I was told that you're seeing the world as really big, and you're seeing yourself as really small. And that causes you to feel overwhelmed by the world. But you could also begin to see the world as very small, and yourself as very big. And then you wouldn't feel so overwhelmed. It worked. It worked. I don't feel so overwhelmed. I no longer, in my mind's eye, I no longer in my imagination, in my perception, in my mental framework, am seeing the world as what I imagine the whole size of the earth is, and a giant field around that whole earth with disturbed energies everywhere. It's overwhelming. That's the way I was seeing it. That's the way I was feeling it this morning. It's just like all this disturbance, and it felt like it's too much. It's too much. It's too much to ground. And when you see it that way, it is. And that's the way I was seeing it, and that's the way it felt. It felt like too much. And then I was told that it would be useful if I would see the world and the world healing field as small. That old saying, he's got the whole world in his hands. And that's possible. Because all these things we're feeling are things we're imagining and causing ourselves to feel based on our imagination. Most of it isn't things we're actually seeing. we could say, well, we're feeling it, but a lot of times what we're feeling is based on our imagination, what we're imagining, and then we're feeling, and we're getting upset by what we imagined. It's the way it works. One of the ways it works, or the way it doesn't work. So when I imagine the world, maybe the size of a soccer ball in the fields of the world, just outside that. And then I do, in some ways, have the whole world in my hand. And then what size is my energy? So I think, well, I've got the world here. If I imagine myself as part of that world, I have to imagine this little tiny dot of something, But I don't have to. That's just one of the ways I can imagine myself in that world. Or I can imagine myself as part of the oneness. And when I imagine myself as an aspect of the oneness, I feel my consciousness is one with the all that is. And then I don't feel so overwhelmed. That all these beings I've worked with all these years, they are holding this giant space for healing, for transformation, which is what we're all going through. So when we chunk it down, bring it to a level in which we can feel like, okay, I can do this, then bring the whole world down to this soccer ball sized thing, and then just work with it at that size. Then it's not too big. Then it's imaginable. If you can imagine it being that size, then it's imaginable that you can work with the energies of it. That's the process they took me through, and that's where I'm at now. It shifted things for me, which is what we want to do, is shift things for us. If shifting things for ourselves can help to shift things for others, then great. But I was reading from the Mayan calendar, and I'm not going to do the Mayan calendar reading, I don't think, quite yet. But I was reading from the Mayan calendar, and it says we're all resonant with something. So if we're resonant with the fear of the world, then that's what we feel. That's what we resonate with. So you can feel that. And if we resonate with the anger of the world, we're like, that's what we feel like. We feel that anger because we're resonating with it. If it's grief and we're resonating with it, we feel that. And if we wish to change the world, one aspect of that change is to change what we're resonating with. So, my favorite is peace. And so we're just going to go through the process. You can just state, I connect with the world healing field. I connect with my deep self. And really, when you truly do connect with your deep self, you feel the peace. You feel the calm of the deep self. I mean, you can say, I connect with my deep self, and think, oh, what a nice concept. Or you can say, I connect with my deep self, and you can feel it. And it's the deep self. So you can also identify with the deep self. And you can say, I connect with my higher self. And you can also identify with your higher self. You can say, I connect with my highest self. And from that highest self, or from the state of the one, which seems just endless, this seems doable. Doesn't it? Doesn't it seem more doable now? So, again, stating out loud, I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. And I open myself to the healing power of the one. And I release anything not useful to me now. And if you want to work with the seventh dimensional beings, the Hathors, you can say, I choose to work with the Hathors. And they'll support you in what you're doing. So we have a healing field. It was set up first thing this morning just because the energies of the world were just so intense and I was feeling overwhelmed by them. So I set up the field and I started doing breath work and then I did some yoga. I was just trying to bring myself into a more grounded, stable, balanced, flexible place. Because we want to, if we choose to help with the grounding of the disturbance of the world, so if that seems like something we're drawn to doing, then we need to be careful that we are aware of being the one to ground the disturbance, not to be the one broadcasting the disturbance. That's for the television stations to do. Their job is to broadcast disturbance. It's what the many of the computer people are there to just keep the disturbance going. But if we wish to experience a world of peace, we have to experience it now. We can't wait until the wars have stopped. We have to make a choice. We don't have to, but we get to make a choice. In terms of the energies we align ourselves with, I connect to my deep self. I align myself with peace. And I can feel that peace. I connect with my heart. And I align myself with love. Connected to my deep self, I can feel that peace running through my central channel. Well, I can feel it starting to just grow in strength. It was there before, but if we're not aware of it, if we're not feeling it, if we're not putting our attention, on it, we're not experiencing it. So here, if we actually experience it, we think, this peace is moving through me. And this peace is opening up this crown chakra and opening me up to the bigger peace. impacting this world, but also impacting this world. So we have this world, and if we're focused on the disturbance, and the disturbance is ongoing and it's broadcast to you every day. So if your world's disturbed, your world's disturbed, your world's disturbed. So if you go like, oh, wow, bummer. And then you're kind of in that programming. But if you go like, my world, no, my world's peaceful. My world is loving. My world is kind. My world is compassionate. My world is healing. It changes it. It changes it for me, from the perception of this is something I'm trying to get rid of, these bad feelings, whatever, to this is something I accept that's required for change. Be aware of this, but I'm going to be aware of it from this deep self, from this deep peace, from this deep love, from this deep sense of oneness. That's my world. I don't find myself consciously in that world all the time, but more and more so. The more I focus on that world, the more that is my world. And so we went back to an event. That event is resolved, so I'm going to say these words. I ask the higher self to assist all the souls that went back to this event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained to the event and bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, clarity, compassion, curiosity, and kindness. I ask all those souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that those new energies be brought in. And I'm just going to add through me, because I am Winklill. I'm a cosmic vibratory root whose purpose is to bring in higher vibrational energies from the cosmos. It's my job. Happy to do it. Okay, so I ask that these new energies be activated, and I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. Okay, that's our healing healing session class for today. May it serve you well, and may you keep the peace. Keep resonating the peace. Keep resonating the love. Acknowledge what you're aware of, and acknowledge it from a place of peace and from a place of love, and notice if it doesn't change. All right, now let's go.